Hey there, everybody. This is Kenny along with Kenny Squared. Welcome back to Sports on the Positive Tip. We have conversations at the intersection of sports and faith. Kenny, I just got two questions. We have so much baseball, put a cap on the World Series, as well as a lot of NFL. Not as much NBA to talk about just yet, except the Knicks are playing very well, by the way. These last three games have been outstanding. I do have two basketball questions for you. I had the Nets written down here, but they won last night, so they're not winless. They beat the Pacers last night, so they have their first win. Ja Morant got suspended for a game. You and I were texting about that. Apparently, it was because he was very critical of the coaches. I thought what he said in the press conference wasn't that bad. He said you got to ask the coach why he didn't play more, whatever it was. But apparently, there was some serious words behind the scenes. What should Memphis do with Ja Morant?
I hate to say it, and it's not so much a testament to him. I just think he needs a new start. They need to trade him somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. It's going to be hard though at this point, right, to get a good value, equal value for him, right? I mean, where would you rank him now in terms of top players in the NBA? Is he still top 10? I think there was a time he was definitely top five.
Yeah, I mean, top 10 might be a stretch. I would definitely say
Wow.
easily top 25, but
Okay. Okay. So he's not the superstar that he was, say, 3 years ago or so. Um,
yeah.
I mean, what do you get for him? It'll be very interesting. But I tell you what, some contending teams, he could put them over the top. Can you imagine if he goes, let's say, to Denver, or to San Antonio? How scary that would be. Or even, oh my gosh, because they always wind up getting superstars, the Lakers, and I don't know how salary would work with all that, but man, oh man. I have a technical question for you. So I've noticed this the last 2 years in the NBA, and for some reason, this last week, the last few games, especially last night, I was able to see the Knick game right from the beginning, like as they're coming out. Not so much warm-ups, but as the game is getting ready to tip off, right? And I noticed this two things. NBA players at the end of every stoppage of play, they just slap, not high five, but they slap five to each other, even if they made a bad play or whatever. And I think that's kind of cool. But something that has gone missing here, do you notice this? That they don't shake hands before the game anymore. Even the two
Hmm.
people that are jumping ball. I noticed that last year, and it's every game. They used to go out of their way to shake hands or clunk fists with their opponents. You might get one player doing that now. What is that all about?
I don't know. Maybe it's just like a change in culture.
Yeah,
Because I feel like they typically are a lot more friendly after the game versus
yeah,
before.
yeah.
And especially in years past, like after the game, you wouldn't see like the hardcore handshake, buddy buddy, swapping jerseys type of stuff. So
Yeah, you see that a lot more after. Okay, that's a really good point. But I think that it's just you wonder because since I was a kid, they used to always shake hands before the game, and you just wonder, and especially the two centers, right? That would jump up. So it was good you see Kareem and Wilt shaking hands, Willis Reed with Dave Cowens, and you knew these guys would go at each other, but before and after, NBA players back then didn't do much after. They just left. But now you're right, they do a lot after. But I just wonder when did that change? Was there one player or one team that said we're not going to shake hands before anymore? It's just weird because that was such a tradition for a long time. So, all right, we've got to put a cap on one of the greatest World Series of all time, and we'll talk about some baseball stuff, how this offseason may shape up. We've got your NFL rankings. You ready to get into this?
let's get into it. We got a lot.
This episode of Sports on the Positive Tip is brought to you by the Tavern Coffee House. Attention, coffee lovers! Are you craving the perfect cup of coffee to start your day? Well, look no further than the Tavern Coffee House. It's located at 12302 Buckeye Road in Cleveland, Ohio. You can also check them out and order your coffee at thetaverncoffee.com. Hey there, everybody. This is Kenny and
Kenny squared.
with Sports on the Positive Tip Podcast. Welcome back. Thank you all for watching and listening. And so, Kenny, let's get right to it. The World Series ended Saturday night. Full disclosure, I think the audience will find, I'll be real quick, find this story funny because I made it till at the end of the seventh inning. I had a long day Saturday. I was wiped out, exhausted, and I always know I have to get up early. And thank goodness for that extra hour, which never really affects me, but it really did this time around because I definitely need that extra hour. Because as you know, and a lot of the audience may or may not know, I have to get up by like 4:30, 5 a.m. at the latest on Sundays because of the two churches. And so this I saw I had 33 text messages from you when I woke up, and I didn't look at any of them because I said, during the championship series, when I was getting up and I would turn to 69, they were showing replays of if there was a championship series game the night before. Even, they didn't do yeah, they did the wild card series, Fox. They had some wild card games. And so I would enjoy like a half hour of, game. So I was up exactly 4:30 and I turned to 69 and oh my gosh, it was in the eighth inning. They were showing the replay of game seven and it was in the eighth inning, right where I left off. So I watched it all without looking at your text. So I had no idea. I didn't look at my phone at all. I had no idea who won or what happened. And it was absolutely amazing. At quarter after 5 in the morning, I'm screaming. I'm like, oh my gosh. So let's put a recap on it. I'll ask you first. Is this the best World Series that you've seen?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I'll kind of also just give my perspective here.
Yeah,
So yeah, you had said you were going to bed. I was like, you know what? I'll give like my live reactions to all the crazy stuff
that
that
was
happened.
great. I read them after. That was
And
great. Yeah.
and like, cause like I'm like, okay, so we're in the ninth inning. The Blue Jays are up, and I'm brushing my teeth, getting ready to go to bed. Like, there's two more outs. They're already like also like Joe Davis kind of giving like the soliloquy of like how the Blue Jays are gonna finally win a World Series and how they got there and all like really like giving them their flowers. So I'm like, oh, this game's over. And then like Rojas hits the home run and everything just goes crazy from there. Um, as far as like I was thinking about this earlier. Best World Series of my lifetime, or let's just say the wild card era, because like I don't remember anything pre 94 anyway.
Right, right,
Um,
right.
so 95 on, like very good World Series would be 2001. I know it didn't end well for the Yankees, but still, like you have the storyline of 9/11 delaying the season for a week. Um, the drama of the Yankees coming back multiple times on what at that time was a really good closer.
Yeah.
Um, Derek Jeter hitting the first ever home run in the month of November in baseball.
Mm,
Um, and then obviously Randy Johnson coming in game six, shutting down the Yankees, and then coming back in game seven, getting the win after the crazy Luis Gonzalez walk off.
yeah.
So there's a lot there.
Great World Series. Yeah.
Um, 2011, where the Texas Rangers are in a very similar spot to the Blue Jays. Nelson Cruz inches away from securing the Texas Rangers' first ever World Series. Misses a ball. David Freese hits a triple and then hits the home run. We will see you tomorrow night.
Yep. Yeah.
Um, 2016. Obviously, it was crazy here. Like Cleveland's up 3-1. They're gearing up to win their first World Series since 1948. Lose game six. And then the rain delay happens in game seven, and then Jason Hayward gives like the motivational speech of the century, and the Cubs end up breaking their 108-year curse. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
out of those, I think this one probably still tops it all. And because there were like in a lot of those, it was like one particular moment. Like even in 2016, game seven was a classic, but the rest of the games weren't really like that memorable.
Yeah.
Um, I think 2001 might be very close because of all of the comebacks from the Yankees. I think if the Yankees won that World Series, we probably would have said I'd probably still say 2001.
Yeah.
But this one, you had your insane 18 inning game.
Yeah.
um, where so many things happened there. Game six, the Blue Jays have runners on second and third with one out, and they get doubled off to end the game.
Incredible.
And then all of the stuff in game seven.
Yeah.
Um, I will now, a lot of people have been critical. I don't know if you saw Mad Dog's recent rant about how Joe Davis was like, um, he was more as Dodgers announcer, really like slamming the Blue Jays in their parade a couple days ago. Mad Dog was really mad about it, but like,
The Blue Jays had a parade?
no, the Dodgers parade.
Oh, the Dodgers parade. Okay.
But
Okay.
yeah, he was like really slamming the Blue Jays, like saying like, "Oh yeah, the Dodgers rule," which like that's his role. He's the Dodgers announcer.
Yeah.
Um, but Joe Davis did say some, and maybe John Smoltz too. I don't want to give him credit, but um, in the eighth inning, the Blue Jays had an opportunity to kind of give some breathing room to get some insurance runs, and they didn't get it done. And they said there's kind of that ominous feeling that like they could have really shut them down and they didn't.
I felt
And
the
sure
same thing
enough,
though. Yeah, I felt the same
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
especially after Rojas hit the home run, I'm like, oh gosh, I don't
Yeah.
know if they're gonna win this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like the whole time, I'm just thinking, man, I want to see a walk off because we haven't seen a walk off in a World Series since 2001, and I thought it would be really cool. And truth be told, when Vladdy hit that fly ball out to deep center field, I thought that that was gone. And I was like, oh my gosh, like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is gonna hit a home run to win the World Series. Like
Mm.
history repeats itself. But obviously that didn't happen. Um, but there's a few things I think that really stick out to me about the Dodgers in general. And then I'll get to I think what was the key moment in game seven. Um, we talk all the time about how you have to win on the field. Like we always get these, oh my gosh, like the Padres signed these guys or the Yankees signed these guys. And but then none of these teams tend to do it on the field. The Dodgers signed their players and they actually did it on the field.
Yep.
Um and it wasn't like because people are acting like, oh yeah, they just dominated everyone. They barely won game seven.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah.
and aside from kind of destroying the Brewers, like they really for them, it was a little bit of a challenge.
Oh,
Heck,
yeah.
they were the third seed. They weren't the number one seed. They
Yeah.
didn't have the best record in baseball.
Yeah.
They didn't have home field. So like this notion that the Dodgers are just like buying their championships, I keep hearing it, and every time I hear it, just it's frustrating because it's just not true. Like
Right.
their players have bought into we're gonna create a winning culture. We're gonna take advantage of every single little mistake that you make. And our starting pitching is going to be the backbone of our team. Because like last week I had said, I think that the Blue Jays will win because I don't think you can guarantee some of these. You can guarantee some of these relievers will be consistent. The Dodgers are like, yeah, we agree. That's why we're just putting all of our starters in Game Seven.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and like they pulled it off. Like you can't dismiss what they do because of their payroll.
Yeah.
First of all, they didn't spend the most in free agency last year. The Mets did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, they don't have the highest payroll in baseball. Both the Mets and the Yankees, I think, had a higher payroll.
Right.
Um, and like all the people that are like rooting for and asking for a salary cap, it's not going to make a difference. In fact, I think it would probably make it worse because like look at football, look at basketball. You like they're built on dynasties.
Yeah.
It took us 25 years to see a repeat champion in Major League Baseball. And I think that that's something that people overlook.
Yeah.
The last thing I'll say on it, and then I'll kind of get into game seven a little bit more. Um, I had heard this from Evan Roberts earlier, and I really like the way that he said it. Because obviously, the last couple days ago was election day, and it's not midterms, a lot of the local elections like mayor, city council, and all that. And when you're talking about like politics, people always hate when their taxes are going to things that they don't want to pay for. However you believe politically, like if you found out that all of your taxes went to like funding senators' vacations, we would be annoyed.
Of course.
And
Yeah.
and in baseball, like the system that they have is the luxury tax. So the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, maybe the Phillies, like some of these higher paying teams that are over the luxury tax threshold, they're paying those luxury tax dollars are going to the smaller market teams. And what are they doing with those dollars? They're just pocketing it. They're
Yeah.
not reinvesting it into their team.
Yeah.
They're not investing into like actually creating a winning culture or anything like that. And
Right.
that's the bigger problem.
Yeah.
Because like you look at the Dodgers, they've got Blake Snell, Tyler Glass now, both guys that were with the Rays. The Rays signed one of those guys, then we're not talking about this as much.
Right.
Mookie Betts
Right.
was traded from the Red Sox to the Dodgers because the Red Sox didn't want to trade him or didn't want to pay him.
Big market team.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
Shohei Ohtani
Yeah.
was after he was offered his offer from the Dodgers, he went back to the Angels and was like, "Do you want to do this?" And they said no. So like you can't fault the Dodgers for what they've done. You have
No.
to fault these other teams that aren't gonna spend. So anyway, game seven. I think the key play was the IKF play. Um, it's sad that a former Yankee failing at base running is um, kind of what killed it.
Yeah.
Because like there were so many different things in that particular play that I think he messed up on. Number one, he's got like the smallest lead ever. And he's like a speedy guy. Like he's not
No, he's
like
not
Ellie
slow.
De La Cruz fast,
Right.
but
Right.
like he's got some speed.
Get some speed.
But like he was told that like you don't want to get doubled off. And to me, like that means take a lead as far away as the third baseman is. And
Right.
like he didn't even do that. He
Yeah.
was a lot closer. So I think like taking the not taking a good lead was one thing. The second thing is his slide was awful.
Yeah.
Um, Either you just run through the base because like it's the game-winning run of the World
It's a
Series.
force out. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, or if you slide, I've seen someone talking about this. If you slide, like slide later so that your hand touches the plate as opposed to your feet. Because I'm sure if he either ran through or got a bigger lead, he would have easily been safe.
Yeah.
Um, but like now you look at it from the Blue Jays perspective, I just feel now this is a team that's been trolling the Yankees all year.
Right.
This is a team that
Yeah.
wouldn't stop talking about the Yankees after they beat them.
You're being fair. Yes.
Um, I feel bad for Blue Jays fans.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being not having a World Series championship basically in my lifetime, and then coming within 2 outs of that,
And
and your
inches.
closer blowing the save,
Yeah.
and you have multiple opportunities and you can't get it done. What'll kind of be overlooked a little bit is on the final play, which was such a fun moment because literally on every pitch, the World Series could have ended for either team.
Yeah.
Because if Kirk hit a home run or a double in the gap, it would have been
Yeah.
game over.
Been
And then
over.
obviously the double play. But man, you should have at least had somebody in motion, especially with two strikes, because Kirk is might be slower than Giancarlo Stanton. And
He can hit though.
I the second that I saw it was a ground ball, I was like, yeah, no, that's over.
That's it.
So I do feel bad for Blue Jays fans.
Yeah.
I do hope that they don't make it back to the World Series next year. But
Welcome
that's
to
just
the
me.
Yankees here. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the biggest thing I think looking forward, as we'll talk a little bit off season, the Dodgers can't win next year because the lockout will be crazy.
Yeah.
Not because they are bad for baseball, but because people will use it as fuel and an excuse. So
Yeah. Well, let me ask you a question before I'll just recap my top World Series real quick, and I don't have a ton to add to that. Um, 3 out of 3 championships now in 5 years, and I'm counting 2020. I know it was a 60 game, season, but that Tampa Bay team was a handful, and they beat them. And I know it was on wasn't that on the neutral in Arlington? Is this a dynasty?
yeah, I would say it is.
Okay. Okay.
Um, it's because like 3 and 5 years, and also like they are the betting favorites already next year,
Yeah.
which I mean that's not that surprising. They're not losing anyone, but
Yeah.
Um, Also, no one would be surprised if they won next year.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the big ticket guys came through, and this is to your point of the salary stuff, right? Yamamoto was unbelievable. I mean, he did exactly almost what Randy Johnson did in 2001. I mean, you pitched the next day. I still can't get past that. And he was sharp, and he was tough. He was challenging hitters, even though, like you said, one pitch, one hit, and series over, he was still going after hitters. He wasn't throwing pitches in the dirt or pitching around people. He was still, I mean, he's got an unbelievable splitter. And so I just get he definitely deserved the MVP for the series. In fact, the whole playoffs, the complete games that he had, a really nice throwback there. um, but it's Miguel Rojas who makes the great play. Kike Hernandez, another unsung guy who's always in the middle of something. And the year he was with the Red Sox, year or two he was with the Red Sox, he was in the middle of something. But he's every time the Dodgers are in the postseason, he does something. In the regular season, I'm never afraid of him. He always has just a mediocre regular season, but he always has these unbelievable postseasons. He makes just a great play to end Game 6, but it's Rojas who picks it out, of the dirt and stays on the bag. It's Rojas that then, makes that throw that IKF gets thrown out on. And to back up your point with IKF, I think I also want to put a lot of this on the third base coach because you got to tell him you need to be a couple of steps ahead here, and have him prepared for that. It's not likely there's going to be a line drive to Max Muncy in that spot. It's just not likely, and but still, I totally understand you don't want to get doubled off. Man, you got to get a big lead. If that had been Jazz Chisholm or Francisco Lindor, they'd have been halfway down the line no matter what. But Rojas, I mean, the ball is hit hard, so he almost has to take a step back. He almost couldn't get it out of his glove, and he still throws him out. Okay, you want to say something?
I guess that's the other thing too. The longer leads you get, you
Yeah.
know how distracting that is for a pitcher,
Yes. Yes.
where they're gonna think about throwing over.
Yeah. I,
The biggest thing is you just have to watch the third baseman, which once again, good point. The third base coach should have been watching for that.
yeah.
Because like, yeah, you don't want to get picked off at third
No,
as the final out in the ninth inning.
it's not
But
likely.
also like,
Yeah.
yeah, there because also like the catcher's gonna be nervous about throwing the ball because if he throws it away, the game's over.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not likely. And I think when you think about and watching the replay, this is what made this so amazing, right? Where Will Smith's, heel isn't on the plate when he first catches it, but he has the presence of mind to put it down, on the and it still beats IKF, and that is I don't put it all on him. I think the coach also I mean it was almost a base hit, so I don't put it on. Was it Gary Varsho? Not Gary Varsho. Gary Varsho was his father. Dalton Varsho
Yeah.
that hit it. Yeah. So I mean it was almost a base hit. He hit it hard, you know. But I'll go back also. Let me finish this point real quick, and then I'll just give you the World Series, and we can move to the off season. Um, Will Smith. Oh my goodness! And now there's that trivia question. There's been 5 years in a row that Will Smith has won the World Series, but they're talking about the pitcher Will Smith, from earlier in the 2020s. But Will Smith was unbelievable. He was clutch every single time, and he hits the big home run. And did you read this? Again, this World Series has so many coincidences. There's a father and son that caught both World Series home runs with Rojas and Smith, and they're returning them back to the Dodgers, but they're getting a nice, little thing. The son caught one, and the father caught the other. I mean, it's just crazy.
Hmm.
All
I didn't
these
know that.
coincidences. Yeah, yeah, I saw that the other day. Um, but it's the way the Dodgers have built this team, right? That the big ticket bullpen signings. Did you see Tanner Scott at all, or Kirby Yates? I didn't see any of these guys that they signed, but yet they have these guys that just come through. Um, you know, and so Rojas, what an interesting pickup that was a couple of years ago, and he was barely playing. I think he got hurt in the championship series, but Roberts makes the decision to put him in. And here's the last I want to give Roberts all the props in the world. We used to kill him, man, in these playoff games of World Series where he was so overthinking. He wasn't overthinking in this series. Neither was he last year with the Mets. Um, but he takes out Tommy Edman and he puts in, first of all, he puts in Rojas in game six, right? They bench Andy Paez. And Andy Paez is a great outfielder, but he wasn't hitting. And he had a great year, you know? So it takes a lot. He waits till game six to do that. But oh my gosh, he puts him back in the outfield for defense. And he makes that unbelievable play. Ernie Clement, oh my gosh, what a playoffs he had. Not just the World Series. He was hitting throughout the whole playoffs. And he hits the drive, and I'm like, oh, this is it, you know? And it looks like him and Hernandez are going to collide. Paez is aggressive, though. He keeps going. Thank goodness Hernandez, the last second, kind of falls and to get out of the way. And what an amazing catch in that spot. I mean, this World Series just had so much. So I don't know where to rank it for me. 1975 Reds Red Sox with the Carlton Fisk home run. Is right up there for me. I've got five that were right up there for me. 86, and not because the Mets won, but because of all the twists and turns that series had. Of course, the poor Bill Buckner, the play there, but a lot of people forget the Red Sox won the first two games at Shea Stadium, and the Mets made the big comeback and tied it up with Gary Carter, Lenny Dykstra hitting big home runs. And then, of course, it's the unbelievable game six. But game seven, the Mets were also down in the middle of the game, and they came back, to win that. That was just a great World Series. Um, 1991, game seven, 1-0, and it goes into extra innings. That's the Tom Glavine and Jack Morris, just battle. Go ahead, Ken.
There's one thing on that.
Yeah.
So this World Series Game 7, 51 million viewers at its
Yeah.
peak.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
most since that Game 7 in 1991.
That's crazy, right? That's
Yeah.
phenomenal. And so 2011, I have the same reason that you have. 2016, same reason you have. I put this right up there with all of them. It's hard for me to pick one over the other, but this one had so many twists and turns, and this one was a microcosm of the season. It was a crazy season, and it was really the way the season went is the way the whole playoffs went, and especially the World Series. Um, so this off season, I think now we could really debate the Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge. Is what are we thinking here? You're still going with Aaron Judge because I think the other awards are going to be anticlimactic. This one I'm fascinated by the AL MVP.
Yeah, because also like manager of the year, it's like, who cares? Um, the Cy Youngs, it's probably gonna be Scooble and Skeens.
Yeah,
If it's not Scooble, it'll be Crochet, but no one's gonna be really like,
yeah,
there's not gonna be like pushback on it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Uh, I, but go ahead. So you're still with Judge, yes?
yeah, I still go with Judge, just very, very little bit. Like I think it's going to be a pretty razor thin margin, but it kind of seems like people kind of more turn towards Judge in the aftermath of the season.
Yeah. Okay. We'll see. I have no idea, to be honest. I think they're going to give it to Raleigh, but I honestly have no idea. I think when they look at, you made a great point probably a month or so ago about how the voters now look at all of the other, stats and just the overall great year that Judge had. Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman, is this going to be a repeat from last year with both these guys in free agency?
No, I think that Pete will get I don't think he's getting a 7 year deal, but
No.
I think he'll get a multi-year deal
Yeah.
somewhere.
Yeah.
I also think Alex Bregman might too. Um, I saw someone saying that maybe the Mets should pursue Bregman for third
They
as
said that
opposed and
last
let
year
Pete
too. Yeah,
go,
I
but
like
I don't
Bregman,
know.
but yeah, I mean the Mets have a lot of third basemen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like Bregman. Do you think Alonso back to the Mets and Bregman back to the Red Sox or no?
I think Alonso will end up with the Mets. And I think you're gonna look at the deal and probably be like, man, why do we pay him that much?
Yeah,
Um, Bregman, I'm not too sure. Like because part of me is like, oh, would he want to go back to the Astros? But like, Correa's playing third there, so probably not. I
Yeah,
feel like Bregman's going to be going wherever the money goes,
yeah,
um,
yeah,
and I think he'll get a pretty decent deal.
yeah. Kyle Tucker, I think, is the other really big ticket free agent. Had such a fractured type year, had some injuries. I think before this year, I mean, he was looked at as, this really, um, almost 10-year type free agent, in the prime of his career. Is he still going to get a huge deal? I don't know a pathway back to the Cubs. I think that he's one and done with the Cubs, but what are you thinking with Kyle Tucker?
Yeah, I think he's done with the Cubs. I think also it seems like the relationship ended weird,
Mm-hmm.
so I think he's going to move on somewhere else. Hopefully the Yankees. I don't know. Um,
Think a
I'm
good
not as
fit.
big on Kyle Tucker
Yeah,
as other people are, but
yeah,
um, I think he's going to end up with like the guy that gets the biggest contract.
yeah, yeah. Did the Yankees bring back Bellinger?
Yeah, I think you kind of have
Okay.
to because
Okay.
not only for his defense, but he's like the contact hitter you need, and also pinch he could play first base.
Yeah. Okay. I was reading that he's the ideal fit for the Mets as well, and that they'd want to poach like they did Juan Soto last year. But I think Bellinger is the ideal fit for the Mets if Alonso doesn't come back, and you can, have him at first base. Although he's an excellent outfielder, he's such a unique player these days. Uh, Scooble, will he get traded?
I think he might, and that's going to be the biggest talk I think of the offseason
Yeah,
because where he gets traded is going to be huge.
yeah, yeah,
I pray it's not the Red Sox. Buster only had mentioned the Red Sox and the Mets as two possibilities. I think the Mets might be the one because he can also look, oh, the Mets will pay for him.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
also the Mets have the assets.
The
So
Mets they do. They'd have to trade away some of their depth, but why not? I just don't think though that's a David Stearns move. So he hasn't gone for the
yeah,
big ticket items aside from Juan Soto, you know, um, Kodai Senga, but the Mets need pitching. I mean, there's no doubt about that. And there was another player I wanted to ask you about. Oh, Edwin Diaz.
if the
And we're
Mets don't re-sign him,
we're in trouble.
yeah,
But there are teams that I think would give him a lot of money. I mean, are you going to give a reliever though more than? I mean, the Mets gave him 5 years, 100 million, I think, right? 110 million, something like that. I wouldn't be opting out of that if I'm Diaz, but I guess he's looking towards that. He wants, to tack on at least 2 or 3 more years. Is there a team out there, do you think, that would give him 5 years now, a few years later at his age and a little bit of injury history?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I I would maybe give him 3 or 4.
yeah.
Like it would be. I don't think the Yankees would get him. I think they'll probably go in with Bednar and Doval as the back of their bullpen. But I mean,
Yeah,
if you add Edwin Diaz to that, then
yeah.
bring on the trumpets.
Well, bring on the trumpets. Well, he certainly proved that he can handle the pressure in New York because he's been under a lot of pressure. The other two big stories I think, Ken, you'll see this offseason, and we'll jump over to the NFL. No, let me get to this first. So I was asking you before we came on this contemporary Hall of Fame balloting. I thought was fascinating, and I think each year it seems like it's either one or two. I don't remember them putting three in there. Last year it was Dave Parker and Dick Allen that were nominated and made it into the Hall of Fame. Listen to these names: Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, Carlos Delgado. Carlos Delgado, by the way, had 473 career home runs. He had a phenomenal career. Jeff Kent, MVP. Don Mattingly, also an MVP. Dale Murphy, two-time MVP. Gary Sheffield and Fernando Valenzuela, who tragically passed away, was about a year, maybe 2 years ago. Who do you think? I mean, it's fascinating. There's no way in the world that they're going to vote in Bonds and Clemens just yet, right?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I did look up. there is no cap on the number of players. It's just
Okay.
they have this 16 person committee
Right.
and they need 75% of the vote.
Right.
So it's not a so like if they wanted to vote in all eight, they could, but
Yeah.
I doubt that that'll happen.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't. I think there's still like the
The older guard there. Yeah.
yeah, like because I was trying to look up who's like on the committee. They haven't announced it yet, but usually it's like a lot of like former like older Hall of Famers,
Joe Torre, I
and
think, heads it up. Yeah.
so like those guys will be like, well, these guys kind of put a big stain on baseball, so I don't think that
Yeah.
they'll get in. Um, you said Dale Murphy, which I don't really have as much contacts with him. Jeff Kent, though, I think might get in because I think he probably should have gotten in anyway.
Yeah, and I don't understand why he didn't get a lot of love, you know. He had a great career and MVP, All-Star almost every year, most home runs by a second baseman ever. And so I was always surprised that he didn't get much leverage. I'm gonna lump Murphy and Mattingly in. So I think Bonds and Clemens, if we're saying that they're out, I think that also eliminates for now Gary Sheffield. And
Yeah.
um, Sheffield, the only difference is that he admitted what he did, but he says it was just the cream that he put on. But Sheffield was an amazing hitter, amazing player. Um, Murphy had some just spectacular years with the Braves, and he went to the Phillies after, and not so much there. He was on the downside of his career, but he probably also, like Mattingly, had about a 5, 6 year period where you could have called him the best player in baseball. He was a catcher at first, and then he was a center fielder, and he was a two-time MVP. Um, Mattingly, if he didn't injure his back, he would have also, I think, had just an all world career. Um, but again, if you look at a 5 year, 5, 6 year period, I want to say maybe from uh, 85 to about 90, 91. If you look up Don Mattingly's stats, it's unbelievable. And he was a great defensive player, winning gold gloves every year. I'm surprised Keith Hernandez is not on this list yet, but Hernandez will probably get in as a broadcaster, is my guess, over the years. I don't think this year, but over the years, I think he will. Um, and you have Carlos Delgado, who I was also surprised never got a lot of love. Carlos Delgado could hit in his sleep. I mean, the guy was just an amazing hitter. The years he had with the Mets were phenomenal. The one year he had with the Marlins was great, but it was with Toronto, man, that he would tear it up. You could count on him for 35, 40 home runs, 120 RBIs every year. Um, but if Fernando Valenzuela, so if I was to pick two now, I'll just go with two. I would say Jeff Kent. And I would say Fernando Valenzuela. And I think because if you now look at the overall picture of what he meant to the culture of baseball, Mexico, and how he was just a phenom, but he also still had some very solid years. I know his first year was all world, and then he had a couple of okay years, but then sort of middle of his career, he started having these great seasons, But I think what he meant to bringing Hispanics, especially on the West Coast, to the ballpark. I mean, it was must see. It was sort of like when Matt Harvey was, Happy Harvey Day, and you're too young to remember when Dwight Gooden pitched. When some of these guys pitched, Mark Fidrich, again, you're too young to remember him, and the stadium was definitely going to be packed. We see the same with Shohei now, when he pitches or when he bats. You're not going to the bathroom when he bats. You know what I mean? That's how Fernando Valenzuela was. So I think that people will look at that. I mean, it was what, 10 years later after he debuted that he pitched that no hitter on national television in 1990. So I think it'll be Valenzuela and Kent will be my picks. What are your picks again?
I think I'm going Kent and I don't want to say Delgado. I'd say Kent and Venezuela
Valenzuela.
too, because
Uh, yeah,
yeah, and also like because they wore the patches. He had passed away like last off season, so
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it, like it kind of fresh on everyone's minds and
yeah,
everything like that. So
yeah. The other two things that we'll have time to talk about is the TV deals still haven't been announced. And again, we're assuming that Sunday nights are going to NBC and that um, ESPN is still getting part of the package, so they can continue to show highlights. And but we don't know if Netflix is going to go a little further than just covering the home run derby. There's a lot of moving parts there that where they haven't announced it, and I think all of those re-up deals are kind of skeptical because of the collective bargaining thing, which may put a work stoppage next year. And so I think those are the two things that we'll probably, try to keep hitting on as the offseason, unfolds. All right, you ready to hit some football?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Before I put up your chart, I want to take a moment on the Jets this past week, right? So we had the bye, they had the big win, big win. It was a big comeback win. Um, my reaction when Sauce Gardner and Quentin Williams was traded was um, I was angry because we see this all the time, and I think our friend Nick, who really knows the Jets a lot more than you and I do, because that's his thing. I mean, he knows inside and out. They did a podcast for a couple of years just on the Jets, and his reaction was a little bit more measured. Mine was, here we go again. Every time we have some good players, we somehow get rid of them. I started naming, in recent history, Jamal Adams and Darrell Revis, Richie Anderson, Braxton Berrios. Some of these guys, though, maybe the Jets read the tea leaves, except for Darrell Revis, who was still great with the Patriots. Um, but Jamal Adams hasn't done anything since he left, right? And he mostly because of injuries. Richie Anderson the same. I don't even think Braxton Berrios is on a team now. But it's just frustrating that when we would get these good playmakers, that we will wind up, dealing them off. And so I was like, same thing. And I think we're rebuilding again, which I say again, so that got me angry at first, but as it's now settled in, and you've got 3 first-round picks next year, and you've got a second round, and I got to be honest, Sauce Gardner really wasn't playing great this year. I did say that he was having an off year, and Quentin Williams has probably lost at least half a step, right? He's not as good as he was in the past either. So maybe the Jets dealt these guys at the right time, but they got a good haul back. And so now if we're saying, that we've got these picks and maybe there's a quarterback that has a falling out and we could take a shot on someone again, and who knows how Justin Field plays the rest of this season. We hope he plays as well as he did. And maybe you just put your eggs in his basket. But I'm thinking like a Kyler Murray who definitely is on the outs with Arizona because he's confused why he was put on IR, and they're like, we're gonna roll with Jacoby Brissett here, who is a career backup, but he's always been pretty good when he's come in. There's still Anthony Richardson out there who I wouldn't, put my eggs in basket for, but you never know who else might shake out. Um, as things unfold. The NFL can be weird like that. So I'm feeling better about what the Jets did. I wasn't. I was feeling awful about what they did the other day. But as I like put it together and take the emotions out of it, that we're rebuilding again. But maybe this time we'll rebuild it the right way because it's a different regime. Okay, so now let's jump in and let me pull up your thing here. Hit share screen, and we've got Giants Bears this week, right? So let's go ahead, and you can start wherever you want to start. I see you've lumped the Jets back into a category not just by themselves.
Yeah, I figured the Jets had their fun. But all right, so I went with six tiers this week because it just kind of fit a little bit better. Um, I kind of went with the theme of where the season is ending.
Yeah.
So these teams, their season ended 3 weeks ago. Um, the Browns, it's been weird. Um, they traded a couple guys away, but honestly, their highlight this week is David Njoku saying that he's glad he didn't get traded and he wants to stay in Cleveland,
Huh.
which
Okay.
great. I don't
Yeah.
know why, but great. Um, but yeah, it's I don't know. It'll be very interesting. The Jets and the Browns is going to be one of the most intriguing matchups because of what's happened with both of those teams recently. Um, but we'll see. It could be we could have like a weird 9-3 game, or it could be like a barn burner 41-38 type of game.
Yeah,
I feel like there's got to be no in between. But
yeah. That might be
um,
like considering both those defenses. I'll take the latter. You know.
yeah. Um, and you got the Raiders here. The Raiders have been
Uh,
very disappointing.
yeah.
Um, Dolphins too. I mean, not much to say on them. Tennessee, the Saints. Real quick on the Giants. I feel like we're starting to get the turn of this team is giving up, and that's what kind of scares
Really?
me.
Wow. Okay.
Um, I think one of the biggest things though. So the Giants are 2-7. Where were they last year? 2-7. Where were they the year before? I think they were 2-7.
Oh wow.
So like,
Yeah.
it just kind of seems like even though it seems like we made progress, I feel like we're back where we were. You said a lot about the Jets, so I won't add that much more. Yeah, it's hard. You keep resetting. I think you just got to nail the quarterback.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Another one, I think it was Evan Roberts again that said it. If Joe Burrow, they decide like, hey, if we deal him, the Jets would have the capital for it.
Yeah.
I just don't know why the Bengals would,
No,
but maybe they're like,
yeah.
hey, we could put anyone here. We got great receivers. As long as they can throw a football, they'll be fine. I don't know.
Something to
Um,
that. Yeah.
the next tier, if our season ended today, that's bad. These teams, like if this was it, you would say it's a disappointment. The Falcons have been one of the most up and down teams in the league this year. They have really good weapons,
Yeah.
but I don't know if Michael Penix Jr. is the answer.
Yeah.
Um, we'll see. The Ravens, I only have them here because I do think they're on the upswing.
Yeah.
However, if the season ended today, they would be very disappointed in
Oh,
how
no
it ended.
doubt. No doubt.
Um, it won't be that much longer, I think, till they kind of take that step up.
Yeah.
Um, the Cardinals too, you had mentioned with the Kyler Murray situation, it seems weird. I wouldn't be surprised if he's taking his last snap in Arizona, and we'll kind of see what happens there.
Yeah.
Um, the Bengals, obviously, a lot of it is the injury to Joe Burrow, but still, like, um, I feel like they aren't where they should be.
An awful
I
loss. After they came back the way they did and to give up that last second touchdown like that, you couldn't tackle. I mean, the guys
right,
collide into each other. I mean, what an awful loss that was.
and like I saw Joe Flacco's played 4 games in Cincy versus 4 games in Cleveland. His numbers are night and day.
Hmm.
Um, I think it's like he's got like 400 more passing yards, much better touchdown interception ratio, passer rating, all that stuff. So,
Can't blame him.
uh, the Cowboys, I don't like. I get why the Jets would trade Quinnen Williams. I don't know why the Cowboys tried to get him
Yeah.
because it kind of seems like that was like a move where you're like, if I get him, that's the piece we need to move forward.
Yeah.
Also, they had a great defensive player and they traded him away. It
Of
just
course.
doesn't make any sense.
No.
I think they're just doing it for the accolades and the we want to be the lead story.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're weird. Um, you have the Texans. The Texans have been arguably they could end up as the most disappointing team and kind of the team that will have the most questions heading into next year. Like, is CJ Stroud a guy that peaked in his first year and that's it?
Maybe.
Or is it a coaching thing? Is it the personnel? Like, there's gonna be a lot of questions there.
Yeah. He's not
The
playing this
Commanders,
week either.
what's
CJ
that?
Stroud. CJ Stroud's not playing this week either. He's got concussion.
Yeah, that one was a brutal hit too. I saw that. I was like,
Yeah.
oof.
It really was.
Um, Last on this row is the Commanders. Jaden Daniels' injury is devastating for them. But besides that, this team, the oldest roster in the league, I believe, um, they haven't looked great all year. Um, and I don't really know why.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
because like it's not like they really lost a lot of pieces from last year, and this team went to the conference championship game last year.
Yeah.
But obviously, I mean, you look at these bottom two tiers, you got three NFC East teams. We're going to see something we haven't seen in 20 years, and that's a repeat NFC East champion.
Wow.
So congrats to the Eagles. I mean, it's still early, but come on.
Oh no, nobody
Um,
catching him.
Next year, if our season ended today, great. Um, Fun fact, you know that the Carolina Panthers have the same record as the Kansas City Chiefs?
That
Um,
is incredible.
yeah, like they've been, I feel like, steadily getting better. I don't know how much you can rely on Bryce Young long term, but they have slowly been getting better. And sometimes it's just a testament to like give these guys a little bit of time to kind of figure out the league, turn around a bad franchise, get the right weapons around them, and then they can succeed. I
Hmm.
think that's what we see there. I think that's also what you see in Chicago.
Yeah.
Uh, After the first couple weeks, you're like, whoa, what the heck is this team doing?
Hmm.
Caleb Williams still can be a little bit shaky, but I think part of his game is he's kind of like I don't want to compare him directly to Brett Favre. I don't think he's like talent wise like up there yet.
Right.
But like that idea of sometimes I just go big and sometimes when I go big I mess up big.
Yeah.
And sometimes you kind of just need that.
Yeah.
Jacksonville, I think the Jacksonville Jaguars can kind of be a team that teeters up and down. They didn't do a ton at the trade deadline to really bolster their resume. They're kind of on the fringes of the playoffs though, so we'll kind of see what happens. Minnesota, I think you're starting to see a little bit of confidence in JJ McCarthy. Once again, though, like kind of with a lot of these young quarterbacks, you just got to give him time.
Yeah.
And he's missed a year, he's missed time this year, so give him a moment. I think he can make it. Next year, our season will end with the playoffs. These four teams, I think we've gotten to the point where if they don't make the playoffs, it's going to be what happened, disappointing, and
Yeah.
in some cases, is the coach staying?
Yeah.
The Patriots, I think the Patriots might be a little bit further where they can win a playoff game.
Yeah.
Drake May is a serious MVP candidate at this point,
Amazing. Amazing.
and Mike Vrabel has to be coach of the year
Yeah.
because also they don't really have great weapons offensively, and yet it seems like every single week they're producing offensively. So whether that's Mike Vrabel's culture or Josh McDaniels' system or both, I think that that's been really big for the Patriots.
Yep.
The Chargers are still kind of in the race, but I've kind of lost a lot of hope with them because their offensive line lost Joe Alt this week, and that seems to be one of their biggest um, differences in the year. So we'll see there. The 49ers they have a good record,
Yeah.
but you don't know how sustainable it will be long term, especially with all the injuries that they've sustained.
Yeah.
The biggest one here, I think, is the Steelers. The Steelers are a very, I feel like they've kind of shown that they aren't a top tier team, but also it's hard to not picture them in the playoffs because of the rest of their division.
Hmm.
Like the Bengals are kind of there. Obviously, the Browns aren't really there. The team that might come and supplant them would be the Ravens.
Yeah.
Um, but really, I think the Steelers, like, they're built on a very high powered defense and then the quarterback not messing up. Their defense hadn't showed up until last week,
It's a
and they showed
huge
up
win.
against a good team.
Yeah,
So,
it was a huge win. Huge win.
yeah, they six turnovers. We actually, that was the game that we saw here since the Browns were off. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, if they can keep doing stuff like that, I think that'll work. Next here, our season must end as a Final Four team.
Mm.
Um, don't copyright me. Um, these these five teams, I think that they need in order to feel good about how your season ends. I think that they need to at least make the conference championship game or better.
Mm.
The Seattle Seahawks, Sam Darnold is also a very serious MVP candidate,
Hmm.
and I know that that really hurts. But man, I don't know what it is like that because they have a couple of really good weapons. I don't know how to pronounce it, Njigba or whatever. Like
Right.
he's been really good. Um, they've also I think they have really good coaching and everything like that. They're the only team that has a top five offense and a top five defense.
Uh-huh.
That's usually a formula to go far in the playoffs. Um, the Rams are right there though, and it's going to be very interesting to see like the late season fumbling back and forth between these two teams
Yeah.
because another serious candidate for MVP is Matt Stafford.
Oh, no doubt.
Um,
Yeah.
he's gone from a guy that had some kind of weird back injury, which is why he didn't want to get traded, to wow, he's really good,
Yeah.
even though he lost Cooper Cup.
Yeah.
Um, so that'll be interesting. The Packers had a lot of hype. I don't know if they're living up to it yet.
Mm.
Um,
Bad loss.
they had one of the worst losses of the year, and they've looked like that's happened a few times.
Yeah.
They lost to the Browns
Hmm.
and in devastating fashion. So we'll see what happens there. Um, Buccaneers, I feel like not seeing them in a week has really kind of hurt people's standing on them. They're still a very good team.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously a big game this week against the Patriots to kind of
Yep.
show why they
Yeah.
are good.
Yeah.
And then last is the Chiefs. Can't really fault them that much for losing to the Bills. In the regular season, they are 0-5 against Josh Allen,
Yeah.
but they beat him every single time in the
Yeah.
playoffs. So,
Yeah.
um, the biggest thing with the Chiefs, though, if the season were to end today, they would not even be in the playoffs.
That's crazy to think about it. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and if that happens at the end of the year, that will be the most disappointing team in the NFL.
Oh, yeah.
Even if they have like a 9-8 type of record, which if they finish 9-8, that would be whoa. But
Yeah. Yeah.
because also their schedule isn't easy coming up either. They have Denver and they've got
Yeah.
someone else hard.
Yeah.
Um, all right, top five teams. The Bills, I think the Bills showed that the couple games might have just been a blip. Um, Josh Allen always plays well in the regular season. Their biggest question is can they do it in the playoffs?
Yep.
That's one. But also, secondly, they have to make sure that they pass the Patriots at some point
Yeah.
because I think having home field will be really big for them. The Broncos have one of the longest winning streaks in the NFL currently. Uh, so they have to be up there.
They've been
I
amazing.
dropped I dropped the Colts a little bit because yeah, they lost. You just worry that because Daniel Jones looked like New York Giants Daniel Jones, and that's not what you want to see.
Not
But
Indiana Jones. Okay.
yeah, no Indiana Jones. So we'll see what happens. I think this
Yeah.
week is also kind of a let's get ourselves right again. Because the Steelers they have a good defense, and the Steelers always seem to beat the Colts. So uh, Lions are good. I don't really have much to say on them.
Yeah.
And the Eagles, I think also like they've navigated kind of a weird, funky part of their season without losing, and that's scary. So
Yeah.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I love it. And if our season ended today, that's bad category. I think aside from Dallas, who Dak Prescott is still playing well, it just goes to show with these teams right here what quarterbacking, how important. I know that's a cliche and I'm preaching to the choir, anything you can think of, but there's nothing more that shows with these teams. I mean, Lamar Jackson, without him, the Ravens are just an average team. Without Joe Burrow, even though Flacco's doing well and those great receivers, Burrow is a next tier type quarterback. And without C.J. Stroud, without Jaden Daniels, with that awful injury, I mean, that team has just been average at best. And so I think it is so important that, quarterbacking in the NFL. I mean, again, that's cliche, that's stating the obvious, but I think it's on full display with those teams.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. What are you watching this week? Here we go. We've got Jets and Browns. The Browns are playing here in New York. But we've also got at 1 o'clock Giants at the Bears. Um, the big matchup, I think, I think one of the best matchups of the day, you said it, is New England at Tampa Bay. What are you thinking there?
I think that the Bucks will take it.
Yeah.
Um, the battle of former Brady teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think the Bucks will take it. I think they have that one.
Okay. The Ravens at the Vikings, also at 1 o'clock. You mentioned how the Vikings are turning themselves back around, and so are the Ravens. I think that they are on a little bit of a collision course here. What are you thinking?
This is a tough one because I feel like it can also be a little bit of a trappy type of game for Baltimore, but also they are still in must-win mode.
Yeah,
You get
yeah.
that sixth loss this early, and it's
They're both
challenging.
desperate. Yeah, I think they're both desperate.
Um, because also like they this is kind of the toughest game they have kind of all month. The rest of this month they go at Browns, Jets, Bengals.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah, you gotta have to stack up the wins. So I,
yeah.
I think that they'll come to play, but it's not gonna be an easy one. I think
No
it'll
doubt.
still be the Ravens though.
No doubt. Some really interesting late games. And I think they have it pitched as the national game because of the playoff game last year, Detroit at Washington. But I don't think that that's as big as it would have been at the beginning of the year with Daniels out. But you've got the Rams at San Francisco, at Santa Clara to take on the Niners. And you've got the Steelers out west to take on the Chargers. So three really good late games. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think as far as the Rams and the Niners, I would probably go Rams because I don't know, they kind of just seem like the better team.
Yeah,
And also in division, it's usually going to be a pretty close game.
yeah,
Detroit, Washington, Detroit should take that easily.
yeah.
Um, Pittsburgh, I think will take over. I think they'll take on the Chargers pretty well. First of all, even though it's in LA, it's gonna be another home game for the Steelers.
Yeah.
Also, I think
Steeler
I
fans
think
all over the place.
TJ
Yeah.
Watt will kill it. So
Yeah. Yeah. There's Steeler fans all over the place. You're right. And I think again, probably what they're billing as the best matchup of the week is Monday night, which is Philly, the Eagles at Green Bay to take on the Packers.
it's gonna be such a weird game
Yeah.
because both these teams are weird. I think it's gonna come down to a weird play. I would say maybe I don't know. It's a coin flip. Maybe
Yeah.
Philly.
Yeah. No, I like Philly. Well, listen, Green Bay, if they lose this, people will start questioning, is this really a Super Bowl team? After losing to Carolina last week. So I think Philly will go in there and win that. I really do. On a Monday night, they'll be ready. Um, one thing we left out, I was the game on Fox here. Obviously, the big game was on CBS with the Bills and Chiefs, but the late game on Fox, it started at 4 o'clock, was the Jaguars at the Raiders. I don't know why that was on here in New York. I think there just was no other game. But but I flipped back and forth a couple of times. And at the exact right time I flipped back and forth where their kicker kicked that 68-yard field goal. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And he had room to spare. And so that broke the record, is now a new record. I think Justin Tucker, who we haven't heard that name in 2 years, right? Justin Tucker, poor guy, he fell off. I shouldn't say poor guy because we don't know what he did. But he's certainly fallen off the map. But the Jacksonville kicker, and I should have wrote down his name, but I didn't. 68 yards. That was amazing. And I watched it. I was like, no, get out of here. He's kicking 68 yards, and he made it with room to spare. He made it. So I thought that was amazing. All right, I think that uh, concludes our NFL thing. You ready to get to some inspiration?
Let's go.
All right, mine is really quick. Tommy Edmond, before the World Series, was interviewed. It's great that in my feed I keep getting these Christian Broadcast Network (CBN) interviews of players and the snippets of them, right? So Tommy Edmond, before the World Series started, was asked about his faith, and I'll read it real quick because this is very inspiring. I thought having your identity in Jesus is way more important than success on the baseball field. Being all in for Jesus is something that can definitely transform you. I think the more I spend time with Jesus and abide in Jesus, hopefully the more I become like him. And I think that resonated with me a little bit more, Ken, because I speak to my congregations almost on a weekly basis about how if you're going to church every week, if you are reading your Bible during the week, hopefully every day, if you're in prayer at some point, there should be some change in you, right? Some transformation. And he mentions that, right? Being all in for Jesus is something that can definitely transform you. And then he says, abide in Jesus, really, putting all of your trust, all of your faith and hope in him. So I thought that was a really great quote. And Tommy Edmond, who's a world champion again, who didn't quite have the postseason that he had last year, but still a very good player. He's our inspiration, my inspiration for today.
That's a good one. Yeah, because especially when you have the perspective of whether you win or lose, I think
Yeah,
it's good to have.
yeah.
Mine's kind of a two-parter to kind of wrap up the World Series. I'd mentioned last week the Dodgers pitchers having number 51 Alex Vesia on
Yeah.
their hats.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this, the Blue Jays relief pitchers started doing 51 on their
Oh, I did
hats
not. Wow.
in game 6 and 7. So I just love that type of stuff because I think that's good unity.
Yeah.
Um, but when talking about graciously losing, um, I'm not sure if you saw the reaction of one Vlad Guerrero Jr. after the World Series. Now, usually they always say like, "Oh, like such and such was the last person to leave the field after watching the other team celebrate." Like I believe last year it was Juan Soto was the last one to like leave the dugout. Vladdy was the last one here. But then after the game, he went and personally thanked all of the players, all of the staff that kind of helped make this season possible,
Yeah.
which is very gracious for a guy that had arguably like the best playoffs,
Oh, yeah.
arguably ever. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think it was, ever is probably a little extreme, but
Yeah. But he was
um,
great all throughout. Yeah.
he went and was just very gracious to those that made it possible. Also, I saw a thing too, and I didn't like verify it, but apparently like all of his family was praying that he would be safe and protected throughout the season, and we're praising God for that afterwards. So
Yeah. Wow.
definitely hard for the Blue Jays fans. I feel bad, but yeah, shout out to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Now you said you had two. Was that that was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Gotcha.
the 51 on the
Oh, the
hats, and then
51 in that.
also
Yeah, gotcha.
Vladdy.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, that's amazing. What a World Series. It was a World Series for the ages. That's what we're going to name this podcast today. World Series for the ages.
There you
It
go.
really was. And it capped off quite a season, ending on November 1st. So it's a long season. Before you know it, man, pitches and catches, report, I mean, think about it. It's not that far off, So,
And the World Baseball Classic this year.
that's right. So earlier. Yeah. Okay. And is that in February or March? Probably in March.
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 Yeah, there's a few I think every team is playing a one of the World Baseball Classic teams
Yeah.
as like an exhibition game. But yeah, it'll be very interesting. The American League or the USA team will be very stacked. You
Yeah.
got Cal Raleigh in there, you got Aaron Judge, Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
Um,
Mark
so that'll be fun.
DeRosa
But
is the
what's
manager,
that?
I think. Mark DeRosa is the manager.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Uh,
Um, but the Dominican team is probably more stacked.
yeah. Yeah. It should be fun. I got to get into that this year. This and the NBA Cup, because I know those are two things that you get into. So I got to get into both of them this year. Usually I'm not ready for baseball when that happens, but this should be. I feel like they're making a bigger deal of it. Is it on a different network this year or something? It seems like they're making a bigger deal of it this year than they have in the past. It's
I
not on
don't
Fox,
think
right?
so. I think it's on MLB
ESPN
Network still.
or MLB Network. Okay. Okay. Should be interesting. All right, lots to talk about next week. Baseball season is now behind us. We start to focus a little bit more on the NBA. The Knicks, I got to tell you, man, I was loving what I was seeing these last few days. And their bench, I think, well over 40 points last night. Jordan Clarkson fitting in nicely. Towns is rounding into shape. Josh Hart is a menace. Mitchell Robertson played great. So, yeah, I'm liking what we're seeing here. Lots to talk about next week. Kenny, take us home.
Yeah, this is Kenny Square to N.
Kenny.
The Sports on the Positive Tip. We'll see you guys next week.